But what is the background to the elections? What makes it unique? What are the challenges and what's being done to make it happen? With me today is Meressa Tsehaye, who is a member of the Tigrai Electoral Commission. Meressa Tsehaye, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Just tell us a background to the elections. Why Tigray alone is holding these elections?
Thank you. As to my understanding, Tigray has three fundamental reasons to engage in this democratic exercise. The first reason is to broaden independent self-rule, and then to ensure people's sovereignty. And this people's sovereignty is expressed by electing their own government. And election should be periodic, should be inclusive and democratic. So the Tigray people is engaging in this election. That the last election is going to be in by next October. So by that time, we will not have a government, elected government, especially the federal government is already extended that election by interpretation of the constitution. So the first reason is all about ensuring self-administration and expressions of people's sovereignty, and that government should be elected because elected governments are expected to be accountable, and not only accountable but also they have a strong support of the critical mass, and they are expected also to express the interests and views of the people of different interests. The second reason that Tigray is engaging in this historical election is Tigray has already paid a lot of sacrifice to Ethiopia to maintain its territorial integrity, to neutralize all forms of authoritarianism, including monarchism, military regime. So the people of Tigray historically has been struggling against monarchical system, all forms of undemocratic governments. We can mention the first Wayane rebellion, a peasant rebellion against centralism and monarchism. The second Wayane, it was a struggle against military dictatorship, and even the students were participating, and all social stratas were engaging in this sacrifice, so that the people of Tigray has been struggling for to control the self-determination right of the Tigray people. Self-determination can be expressed in the form of maintaining its internal territorial integrity, Tigray, preserving its culture, language, as well as ensuring development and justice among the Tigrayan people. As we know all, since 2018 and the coming of Abiy Ahmed to power, in Ethiopia we are witnessing a new political system. I can call it Neo-Ethiopian political system, which is restorationist. It wants to restore the military types of government, unitarist assimilationist types of nation building, by undermining the federal framework and the right of nations and nationalities to self-determination.
After the decision has been made to hold the elections, a commission is established, and you happen to be one of the members of the commission. And there are a lot of activities that have been going on and are supposed to be undertaken in the run-up to the election. There are milestones to cover, the process itself. There are lots of technical prerequisites up to the voting day.
Yeah.
So this is a huge undertaking, a huge logistical and technical input required towards that. So given the enormity of the challenge and the enormity of the task at hand and the short time that is left for the elections, how is it possible to do it?
Yeah, this is simply to show you that why the people of Tigray is committed and engaging in this project in a short period of time. We have a committed, determined people, and our government is also functioning government that maintains law and order, determined to conduct this election and make all the necessary preparations, including resource, including enacting the proclamation, even assigning the commission members, and then mobilizing the people towards this election. And we have to thank to our opposition political parties in Tigray they are committed to engage in this historical project because they consider this election is an election for self-defense, an election for self-administration, and finally to successfully defend Tigray's self-determination rights and its future destiny. So we have a committed, determined people, committed government, and committed opposition political party who are ready to engage in this election in a short period of time. Then this commission is also mandated to lead this process. We have been members of this struggle as a Tigrayans. We are neutral we are not members of any political party. We are neutral, but we were engaging that Tigray should conduct this election, because this election is not only simply assigning electing a government, but also the legal means, the democratic means to neutralize all forms of authoritarianism. In the Horn of Africa, we are witnessing newly resurrecting authoritarian regimes. We can see in Eritrea, Somalia, in Ethiopia, even in Sudan, and these all issues. So at this time, this election should be conducted within this short period of time. It is possible to organize election, as long as the state is committed, the opposition are ready, and the resource is available.
Great strides.
With ripple effects going far and wide.
Get the perspective.
From where events are fast unfolding, from where history is being made, from where it has always been made.
Understand the values upon which mutual benefits and success depends. Have the foresight.
And is there legislative basis, legal basis for your commission to organize these elections?
Yeah, this commission is a result of the failure of the federal government to organize the sixth election at the country level. So Tigray expressed its commitment to have an elected government. But the federal government is not willing for that. Then after that, Tigray announced that it will conduct its election, the regional council's election. And then it wrote a letter to the National Electoral Board. Then unfortunately, the National Electoral Board refused to organize election in Tigray. So in Tigray, we have no option rather to have our own commission. This commission is emanated from the constitution that the Ethiopian nations and nationalists, that means Tigray as part of the federation, has the right to self-determination. So self-administration, organizing regional election is almost a minimum right. You can refer Article 1 because we are in the federal system. In the federal system, there are two governments, self-rule and shared rule. The federal government is all about shared rule. So Tigray is expected to be equally participate in the federal affairs, even though the current political affairs is not is not expressing this view. The second one is Tigray has a right to self-rule. This is non-derogable right. Self-determination, Article 39. Even I think it's Article 10. The Ethiopian nations and nationalities are the owners of Ethiopian sovereignty. So self-determination is non-derogable right. Therefore, we cannot undermine under any conditions. That's why the people of Tigray is engaging in this election, regardless of the difficulties, the challenges. So we have a conditional base, and we have also a historical base, because the people of Tigray struggled for that.
Okay. The Prime Minister second guessed the upcoming regional elections in Tigray by saying that this is likely to be sham elections. What do you say to that?
Can brand as የጨረባ ምርጫ, but Tigray proved that we are committed to have inclusive, democratic, at the same time. I hope the international community, as well as the political parties outside Tigray, will learn a lot of things from this. What is important is leadership and committed people.
So you say that it's the rainy season,
Yeah.
and there's this challenge posed by COVID-19. So what practical provisions are you providing to lessen the effect of the election contributing to the spread of the virus? And also, is logistics an issue due to the rainy season?
Yeah, regarding logistics, Tigray is engaging in this election, and we don't have any resource and support of resources from the federal government and from other outside donors. But the Tigrayan people is committed, and the Tigrayan government is committed to organize this election by almost taking this very scarce resource, because you can't undermine democracy in the name of resource, in the name of time. So democracy should be exercised under any condition. So we have a very scarce resource. We have a lot of challenges, development challenges, unemployment challenges, but the government allocated the necessary resource that will make this election successful, because you can't undermine democracy and election in exchange of resource. In African leaders, they consider that election is simply a wastage of resource. This is the political culture in African leaders, because they want to be in the palace, they want to stay for a longer time. They are not ready to get the
They're not
popular.
committed.
Yeah, but in our case, election and democracy will be the only means to neutralize authoritarianism, to define our self-determination, and then create consensus among the Tigrayan people, in between the young and the old generation. So regarding the COVID, this is a global challenge, and the Tigrayan government has already declared command post and state of emergency against COVID. Now we have a clear awareness among the people that this election should be conducted, and at the same time we should be also prevent COVID. And we are also working in coordination with the Bureau of Tigray Health, and then everyone is also contributing sanitizer, mask, and glove to make this election successful.
So what do you say to the criticism that undertaking elections in the time of the COVID pandemic is being irresponsible, which comes from some quarters in the federal government?
That one is I consider this is mockery, because the government should be supported by the people in order to prevent the spread of COVID. The government took this COVID as a golden opportunity to extend its tenure beyond 5 years, and we are also witnessing the consequence of extending the tenure of the government by interpreting the constitution. In Tigray, so far, as a member of the Tigrayan community, I can consider that the Tigrayan people and the Tigrayan government are so far successful in controlling and managing the spread of the COVID, even though in the recent days we are witnessing the numbers of COVID cases are increasing. But if we can remember Professor Indras's comment on the interpretation of the Constitution, it is only an elected government, a government which is supported by the people, can control pandemics. And in Tigray, we have such historical experiences in 1980s, and we are facing pandemic at the same time political challenge, and we are also conducting this election in a rainy time. Though we are engaging in this a lot of historical engagement, so I can say the people of Tigray will overcome the challenge and then successfully accomplish this election. And then by next October, we will have elected government. So we will defend our self-determination rights and control our future destiny.
Very good. Your commission has extended invitation to the international community to come and observe the elections. So what's the response so far? Any positive response?
As to my assessment, so far, Tigray is getting more attention that has never been before. Even though, I can compare this election with the 17 years armed struggle. The 17 years armed struggle was amazing history, a unique history. But we can say our history was not well documented up to the contribution of the people. But this time, the whole world is watching Tigray. Especially, Tigray is a region, but unfortunately challenged by its own government, by its neighboring government, as well as by elites from our neighboring region. This is paradox, The Tigrayan people contributed a lot for this country and the whole, but unfortunately, we are also facing repeated challenges from the kings or the military leaders from Arat Kilo Palace. So, as to my assessment, a lot of international medias, observers are sending their consents to observe this election. The regional government has already declared that that call for international observers. And we as a commission also welcome any observer. The fundamental outcome will be simply to observe the commitment of the Tigrayan people, not only the political parties. The political parties are committed and determined. They should be appreciated. But what is important is the resilience, determination of the Tigrayan people amid this challenge.
And great strides.
With ripple effects going far and wide.
Get the perspective.
From where events are fast unfolding, from where history is being made, from where it has always been made.
Understand the values upon which mutual benefits and success depend.
How about the participation of local actors like civil society organizations or community-based organizations in observing the elections, in raising voter awareness?
In the first place, the sovereign owner of this election is the Tigrayan people. Second, in the last 2 years, the political discussions in Tigray, for me, is unprecedented. Tigray was a forum for open discussion, democracy, on the past history and politics, current political problems in Ethiopia, and then what, you see, we have 5 political parties engaging in this campaign. And next Sunday, we will see the debate among the political parties. We have TPLF, Baitona, Salsai Wayane, Adepa, and then independent part of Tigray. And these political parties, as to my understanding, is the reflections of the political dynamics in Tigray. So the civil society organizations, civic society organizations were following these events. So we have enough political discussions, democratic discussions, but now it is time for a decision. So we call all civic and civil society organizations in Tigray, those who accept and support Tigray's election, and then international observers. And then finally, this is the time for the people to make a decision. So we will invite a lot of civic societies and civil society organizations, media, and then in the coming 2 weeks will be very important days for Tigray. And by September 9, it will be election day. So everyone is welcomed, as long as everyone accepts the self-determination right, democratic right of the Tigrayan people, so that we welcome everyone.
So what would be the significance of this election to the people of Tigray, to the rest of the country, and to the region as a whole?
We are in the 21st century, and we expect 21st century is the century of democracy. in the 9th century and 20th centuries, there were monarchies, military dictators, but because of the people's struggle, people's power, this monarchies has gone and transformed into republic, electoral government, constitutional governments. Unfortunately, in the Horn of Africa, you find all types of states. We have a failed state, Somalia. We have a lot of liberation struggles in South Sudan since 1962, in Eritrea since 1961, in Ethiopia, OLF, ONLF, TPLF, and these all liberation fronts. Their historical struggle was to neutralize and eliminate all forms of undemocratic governments. And the people in this region, they paid a lot for democracy, for development and justice. But unfortunately, all the governments who control the palace, they become authoritarian leaders. They reverse the democratic interest of the people. Taking this context, in Ethiopia, we have been trying to broaden and deepen this democratic exercise. During the Derg regime, the Derg government used the red terror as a means to suppress people's interests. But finally, the people won over militarism. But since 1991, people were engaging in this democratic exercise. They conducted 5 rounds of elections. These elections are the means to educate the people, have a democratic political culture, and finally make government accountable and responsible to the people. We have the constitution, and the constitution says that all nations and nationalities in this country have the right to self-determination, including secession. If the government in Arat Kilo will not accept the rights, these fundamental rights, so the people of Tigray, through democratic means, will neutralize and define its future destiny. So this will be a good lesson for all people who are struggling for democracy, self-determination. So that's why I expect that the support will be not only from this region, but also from all peace-loving, democratic-loving society. So I expect if the Westerns, including America and Europe, oppose Tigray's election, it will be a contradiction. So they should support democracy everywhere in the world. And Tigray, as a region, is trying to defend these forms of. That's why we are getting a lot of support from Eritreans, from the nationalist forces in Ethiopia, who believe in democracy, election, and so on. Tigray will be a lesson for all democratic struggles, or liberation forces in the Horn of Africa. The option is, this time, authoritarianism, militarism, monarchism will not work, because people are getting more conscious. We have a lot of graduates. These graduates are demanding a democratic right, the right to employment, the right to share the resource of the state. So Tigray's election will be a milestone to the Horn of Africa. And I hope the people of Tigray will be successful, and we will get support from every corner of the world. So its implication is great. Tigray's election will be the only means. And finally, I hope Tigray people will win over all these challenges, and then this election will be historic.
You have already covered some of the milestones. You can also highlight some of the major ones. And what should we expect in the coming days in the run-up to the election?
This election will be a turning point in Tigray's political dynamics. Now, if you observe, if you see the criteria for media allocation, budget allocation, this is unprecedented in Ethiopian political history. For example, in the media allocation, we introduced totally new criteria to make the media allocation fair. So we have introduced this criteria, equality and special situation. We have allocated 14% of the total media allocation to this criteria. So 5 of the political parties equally share this 40% of the total media coverage. The second criteria is based on the parties' presentation, candidates' number. So almost 4 of them, they presented equal candidates, 152 candidates. So there is for this criteria, we have allocated 40% of the total media. So both criteria, they account 80% of the total. So the four political parties are equally sharing this 18% of the media coverage. And in the previous elections in Ethiopia, the incumbent government used 55% of the total media. But now, this time, we allocated only 5% to the incumbent government. In Tigray, the incumbent government is TPLF. It controls 100% of the cities. But we allocate only 5% of the total media. This is simply that to recognize that the current council is a legitimate council, elected council. We have allocated 2.5 hours for every media to broadcast daily. And we have also 2 hours allocated in the television broadcast. And this is unprecedented. The objective is to make our election inclusive, fair, so that the political party will deliver their message to the people, and the people of Tigray will have an informed decision. Finally, we will expect the result will be positive. The second one is regarding the budget allocation. We are also committed to support this election and make easy and inclusive. We allocated 20% for equality and special situation, but 60% of the budget, 60% of the budget is allocated to number of candidates presented by the political parties. Almost 4 of the political parties, TPLF, Baitona, Salsai Wayane, and the Tigray Independent Party, they presented equal candidates to election. So 60% of the budget is allocated based on this criteria. The fundamental objective is to make this election historic, and then to give equal chance to the political parties, and finally to support the people's will, so that the people of Tigray will make a final verdict. So that's why we use Tigray votes. By September 9, they will make a final decision, so that the Tigray people will elect this government. That elected government will be responsible for self-rule, self-determination, and shaping the destiny of the Tigray people.
Meressa Tsehaye, member of the Electoral Commission of Tigray, thank you very much indeed for your time and for your reflections. Thank you, dear viewers, and till we meet in our next edition, this is goodbye from me and the technical team here. Thank you.